Breaking news. Ukrainian forces have executed a daring strike deep behind enemy lines, catching the world's attention and sending shockwaves through military circles. Their target? A vital Russian fuel train, the lifeline for armored columns and supply convoys, now left crippled and burning in the darkness. But this wasn't accomplished with expensive missiles or a massive assault force. Instead, a handful of modified commercial drones, total cost just $12,000, were the unlikely heroes of the night. The result was staggering. A multi-million-dollar train, once considered untouchable, was reduced to twisted, burning wreckage. The explosion lit up the night sky and could be seen for miles around, a stark reminder of the operation's impact. This wasn't a stroke of luck or a random attack. It was the culmination of weeks of meticulous planning, gathering intelligence, and relentless technical innovation by a dedicated team. The Ukrainian operatives knew the train's exact route, its schedule, and its immense value. Their goal was clear: to cut off the fuel supply and starve Russian armored units, crippling their ability to advance. The target was hidden deep within Russian-held territory, protected by layers of security and thought to be completely safe, until this audacious strike shattered that illusion. Operating under the cover of darkness, the Ukrainian team demonstrated that in modern warfare, technology and ingenuity can pierce even the most fortified defenses. Nowhere is truly secure anymore. This was more than just a tactical victory. It was a bold message to the world. Ukraine is taking the fight to the enemy, using brains, courage, and cutting-edge technology to turn the tide. For a fraction of the cost of a single missile, Ukrainian forces achieved a strategic breakthrough, rewriting the rules of engagement and showing that resourcefulness can outmatch brute force. What began as a simple hobbyist tool was transformed into a weapon of war, proving that agility, innovation, and determination can change the course of battle, and perhaps the war itself. This wasn't just any train, it was a lifeline, a steel artery pulsing through the heart of a war-torn land, connecting distant supply depots to the front lines where every drop of fuel could mean the difference between advance and retreat. Each car was loaded with thousands of gallons of diesel, destined for the armored columns and convoys that kept the Russian war machine moving. In modern warfare, fuel is as vital as bullets or food. Without it, tanks grind to a halt, trucks are stranded, and artillery sits silent. The entire machinery of war depends on a steady flow of energy. Intelligence had identified this railway as the main artery feeding Russian forces in the south, a critical supply route threading through forests and fields, largely hidden from prying eyes. Destroying even a single train on this route could set back entire offensives, disrupt carefully planned supply chains, and throw enemy logistics into chaos for weeks, if not longer. The fuel lost in such an attack was worth millions, but the true cost was measured in stalled operations and lost momentum, crippling blows to Russia's ability to wage war. Ukrainian partisans, risking everything behind enemy lines, gathered train schedules and security details, passing them to intelligence teams who cross-checked every lead with real-time satellite imagery and intercepted communications. The strike was meticulously planned for a remote, forested stretch, far from civilian settlements, far from reinforcements, ensuring maximum impact and minimal collateral damage. The team had only a narrow window, mere seconds, to hit the moving target at its most vulnerable point, where a single explosion would ripple through the entire supply network. Every detail was calculated with precision, from the train's speed and route to the drone's battery life and flight path, ensuring nothing was left to chance. This was more than just sabotage. It was a strategic chokehold, a deliberate move to strangle the enemy's ability to fight, and a reminder that in war, the smallest actions can have the greatest consequences. The main weapon in this new era of warfare? Surprisingly, it's not a high-tech missile, but a modified first-person view drone, just like the ones flown by hobbyists for fun, now repurposed for war. Ukrainian engineers took these cheap, off-the-shelf quadcopters and stripped them down, customizing every part. They boosted the range, increased the payload, and adapted them for battlefield conditions. Each attack drone was fitted with a shaped explosive charge, capable of piercing steel tankers and armored vehicles. All this for just $500 apiece, a fraction of the cost of traditional weapons. But there was a major challenge: range. The intended targets were often far beyond the normal control distance of these drones, deep behind enemy lines. The ingenious solution? Deploy a larger, high-flying repeater drone to relay signals, extending the operator's control to over 50 kilometers, far beyond what was previously possible. Even with this setup, every mission pushed the technology to its absolute limits. Battery life, signal strength, and unpredictable weather all became critical factors that could make or break a strike. These drones had just enough power for a one-way trip, enough to reach their target, aim with precision, and deliver a devastating strike before going dark. By combining a swarm of cheap strike drones with a single repeater, Ukrainian forces created a deep strike capability that cost only pennies on the dollar compared to conventional weapons. This is battlefield innovation at its finest, turning everyday limitations into lethal advantages and rewriting the rules of modern warfare in real time. The operation was run by a 6-person team: pilots, a commander, a technician, and security. They set up a hidden base in the forest, relying on stealth and coordination. Real-time intel from partisans and electronic warfare units guided their every move. The pilots, trained for high-pressure missions, prepared their drones in tense silence. This was a new kind of special ops, where technical skill and calm under pressure mattered more than brute force. Each member trusted the others completely. Teamwork was their greatest weapon. They were the cutting edge of modern warfare: soldiers, engineers, and drone pilots in one. Their synergy allowed a tiny team to strike far beyond their physical reach. As the drones launched, a hidden battle raged in the airwaves. Russian electronic warfare systems tried to jam or hijack the drones' signals. The Ukrainian drones countered with frequency hopping and limited autonomy, making them hard to stop. If jammed, the drones could keep flying on their last heading, buying time to reconnect. Meanwhile, Ukrainian EW teams created diversions, jamming Russian radars elsewhere to draw attention away. The Russians responded, flooding the airwaves with static as the repeater drone climbed. The pilots watched their video feeds degrade, fighting to keep control in a digital duel. It was a battle of wits and technology, with the mission hanging in the balance. Everything was on track until disaster struck. The main repeater drone's feed went black, likely shot down or jammed. Suddenly, the attack drones were flying blind, out of contact. Standard procedure said abort, but the team had a backup plan. A smaller, less powerful repeater drone was launched in a desperate bid to restore the link. Time was running out. The attack drone's batteries were draining fast. The backup repeater climbed, struggling to bridge the distance. The pilots waited, goggles filled with static, as the commander called out altitudes. The entire mission now depended on this last-ditch effort to reconnect. Weeks of planning and risk came down to a single moment in the dark. Just as hope faded, a flicker of video returned. One drone was back online. The other was lost, so all hopes rested on a single pilot. With a weak, glitchy signal, he flew by memory and instrument data, recalling every curve and landmark. The train was seconds from the strike point. The pilot's training kicked in. Flying almost blind, he made tiny corrections, feeling the drone's every move. Through static, he glimpsed the train time to strike. He pitched the drone into a terminal dive, aiming for the lead tanker. At 150 km/h, under jamming, in the dark, he became the weapon's guidance. The video cleared for a heartbeat. Target locked. He held steady, then the screen went black. Impact. Russian defenses weren't ready for this. Their patrols scanned for big drones or missiles, not a tiny FPV drone skimming treetops. The drone was nearly invisible, too small, too fast, too low for radar. The pilot targeted the second tanker car, maximizing the chance of a chain reaction. Guards, if present, had no warning. The drone was silent and swift. In the final second, the pilot saw the tanker's rivets. Then, blackout. The drone hit its mark. The team watched a distant observation drone's feed, waiting for confirmation. Their $12,000 gamble was now in fate's hands. Confirmation came as a blinding flash. Then a rolling fireball engulfed the train. The shaped charge pierced the tanker, igniting a chain of explosions. The railway was destroyed, the supply lines severed for weeks. Russian offensives stalled. Panic spread as commanders realized nowhere was safe. The Ukrainian team vanished into the night, leaving only the glow of fire behind. Their small, cheap drones had delivered a strategic blow. This operation proved that with ingenuity and teamwork, small units can devastate larger forces. The battlefield has changed. Front lines are everywhere, and technology is the great equalizer. The age of the drone strike is here. Ukraine is leading the way, one daring mission at a time. The future of warfare is now, and it's being written in the shadows.